Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Looking for Love in All the Wrong Dust Jackets, a show where three disgruntled harpies talk to you about everything we love in romance, whether that's books, movies, TV shows, whatever we like. I'm Liz.
And I'm Danny.
I'm Wiggles.
And welcome to the episode. And today we are going to be discussing the movie from 2013, Warm Bodies. But before we get into that, I got to warn the people. I got to let you know that we are crass and unhinged. We're going to swear and we'll talk about all the naughty times. So if you're not here for that, I understand, but you've been warned, so you can't be mad at me.
Yeah.
But I am mad at you, so.
Rude.
Well, just not about that.
I know what you did.
Why didn't we air this out before we started recording, Wiggs?
Because I needed the people to know.
Oh, good. Good.
Oh, good.
Well, fuck you. Anyway.
You get mad at me when I don't say something. You get mad at me when I do say something.
Well, get me caught up on what you guys have been doing since, I haven't seen you in 2 days or something. What have you guys been up to?
Yeah, Wiggs, what have you been up to?
I have not read anything, but I did start watching a show that I should have started watching a long time ago, Resident Alien.
Oh, that's funny. I love it.
Mm-hmm. It's got my boy in it.
Specify.
Alan Tudyk.
Oh, yeah.
My boy.
Mm-hmm.
He's an alien.
Alan Tudyk.
In case you didn't figure it out. And he's a resident of this town. That's why they call it Resident Alien.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Pretty exciting stuff. That's all.
Okay. Danny.
So I read 2.5 books since I've seen you guys.
Good. Somebody's got to pull away their
God
weight
damn.
here.
So I started reading the Monstrous Meet Cute series.
Mm-hmm.
So I read Audited by the Anubis
Uh-huh.
and Claimed by the Cthulhu.
Mm.
All of the books are by Wendy Goh or Go. It's G-O-G-H. They're fairly short books, but they're funny and I really enjoyed them, and they are spicy.
All right.
There's spicy times.
All right. All right.
Oh, my God.
That's what I like about these spicy books. They get older and I stay the same age. Oh, wait.
It's the other way around.
Oh, wait.
Anyway, my turn. I read Black Sheep by Brynn Weaver and Alexa Harlow, which is another serial killer romance where our female main character is out here vigilante killing cult people,
Mm-hmm.
out there doing that work. And she falls in love with her psych professor.
Gross.
Well, he's not her professor.
Oh.
Oh,
but
okay.
he is a professor at the college that she's at.
Uh-huh.
Anyway.
There's a line. She's not his student, so I mean.
Correct.
I mean, if you want that, that's no judgment. Like, get your fantasies where you want them.
Well, maybe let me rephrase. She's a doctoral student,
Uh-huh.
so it's not like an undergrad and a professor. It's
Mhm.
people who are relatively similar in age.
Nice.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
And it's very spicy,
Uh-huh.
and of course, murder.
Murder?
Murder.
I do like my true crime.
I mean, you don't have to guess who killed these people though in the book.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
Okay. Oh my God.
Okay. That sounds great. I'm going to tell you a little bit about this movie. Okay. So, this movie is based off a book by the same name by Isaac Marion. It's supposed to explore the idea of self-identity and the idea of love under difficult circumstances and how we change each other. And yeah, has John Malkovich in it. It's got a good soundtrack. I don't have a lot to say about this movie. So, Danny, what is it about?
Okay, so it's post-apocalyptic. They don't really define it because most of the story is told from the perspective of R, who is a zombie, and so he doesn't actually remember specifically what happened. But it could have been a virus, bombs, whatever. But so there's a bunch of zombies,
Mhm.
and he is one of them. And how he can actually think and everything, but doesn't have a lot of control. And then he runs into Julie, and suddenly his heart goes pitter-patter. And he starts to change and get better, and he saves her from the other zombies. And they begin to change. So let's discuss.
Let's discuss indeed.
Maybe let's start off with talking about the theme of this movie, which is that it's Romeo and Juliet, but zombies.
Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm. Also feels very like an answer to Twilight.
Yeah.
I don't know that they've ever actually claimed that, but come on, man. You were like, oh, you want to make vampires sexy? Watch this. I'm going to make zombies sexy.
I guess. They sure tried.
Well, you know, it could have been worse.
He's real cute.
Yeah. The actor is somebody.
The actor is somebody. That is
Sure
correct.
is.
He...
Oh, yeah. So the actor that plays our zombie is Nicholas Hoult, which you might know from the X-Men movies.
The Great.
He
was in that restaurant movie that everyone was talking about. Like the Menu or something like that.
He was also in Renfield, which I never watched, but...
I wanted to.
Yeah, I just haven't watched it yet.
It looks like Nicolas Cage being Nicolas Cage and everyone else doing a happy little dance around him.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's cute, but he also is a zombie, so, like...
Also, he's one of those people who is like, wine, definitely better with age. He's, I don't know. He looks so much like an emo boy.
Yes, he does.
The whole time, and I'm like, oh, you know. Nothing against emo boys. They're just not my type.
I love his narrations. They crack me up. There's so many like one little pithy things that you're like, what? when like, so the bonies, they eventually all turn into bonies. They lose all hope and just like turn into these husk skeletons.
They look like ghouls.
Yeah. And at one point, a guy is sitting there and he's just like tearing the flesh off his face, and underneath is like the bony skull, whatever. And his narration is, no, don't pick at it. You're just making it worse.
Yeah, his internal monologue is certainly the highlight of the movie for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it had to have inspired a little bit Zombieland, because the main character in that one feels like the same main character, just he didn't get bitten.
I'm looking up when Zombieland came out. Zombieland came out before this.
Oh, it's the other way around. Fuck
Yep.
it, we'll just cut all that. There you go. Maybe it was inspired by Zombieland. I don't know. Anything. So I guess let's talk about the world that these characters have gotten into. When we first meet the zombies are primarily just shuffling about, but almost in a way that feels like they're kind of emulating what it was to be human.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so his best friend, who way later, I think is named Marcus. But that's not till the very end of the movie.
Yeah.
We first meet them and they're sitting because they're all in this airport. They're sitting at like an airport bar and they're just like groaning at each other and like kind of mimicking like what it would be like to be at a bar with your friend. But even R says they don't remember anything. They don't know who they are. They don't know what they're doing. They're just zombies.
Well, and when he's walking through the airport too, there's like one guy who was a janitor, and he's still standing there holding the mop, acting like he's cleaning. Like they kind of do emulate what they had been doing, which they have. A lot of the zombies apparently have taken over this airport. It's primarily where they hang out and everything, which makes me wonder, is that where they were when shit went down?
Probably.
It also seems a lot like there's just the hint of memory left, where they understand that these things, how they work, right? Like they ride the escalator.
Yeah.
He rides the moving sidewalk.
Right. So it's not like he looks at it and goes, I don't know what this does, right? He hasn't lost functional memory, just I don't know, whatever part of your brain says this is who you are, essentially.
Well, because the whole reason he calls himself R is because he doesn't remember what his name is. He just thinks maybe his name started with R.
Right. And he doesn't, for all the development that his friend Marcus ends up having, where like he remembers presumably his girlfriend or wife, and he says that when he dreams, he remembers his mom and someone else. I can't remember off the top of my head. And R never has that. He never has, oh, this was my family.
Yeah.
Or this was my girlfriend or my best friend or anything like that. He is, and at the end, he isn't Robert or something, right? He's still R.
He's still R, yeah. And I think that has a lot to do with he doesn't really want to. He doesn't try.
Well, so the big thing there is once R finds Julie, because Julie and her friends or her whatever from the human city that's all walled up are tasked to go leave and basically scavenge from a pharmacy. And the zombies are hungry, so they go and they try to find people to eat. And he finds Julie and is like insta love with this chick and decides to save her and take her back. But the other thing is R kills her boyfriend and then starts eating his brain to magically get his memories or something.
Well, from what he describes, any zombie, if you eat the brains, you can almost like
it's almost
visualize their memories.
Yeah, it's
right?
almost like you acid trip their memories.
Right. And so he starts seeing Julie through her boyfriend's eyes.
Yeah.
And seeing their memories together.
And that isn't what triggered his like, oh my God, of this girl. Like, he was just staring at her. And then he started to go towards her. And that's when her boyfriend shoots him. And then he attacks him.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like, oh, he liked her because he saw his memories. It's like, no, but the turnaround process after he shoots him, you're like, oh no. Granted, I don't like her boyfriend.
Well, you're not supposed to.
No, I know. And here's the thing. I don't like him. I do understand him to a degree.
Mm-hmm.
Well, she talks about it a little bit, and then you see through these flashbacks that he lost everything, and he just reached a breaking point.
Mm-hmm. Well, and has this really horrific moment where he thinks that they're going essentially on the equivalent of a joyride, right? They're sneaking out and they're exploring the world a little bit, and comes across his own father, who then tries to kill him, and she has to shoot his dad, and it's a whole thing. And so really, we should have more sympathy for this guy, and we're like, yeah, fuck him, he's dead, whatever.
I do have sympathy for him. I just think that he's also kind of, even like back in the day, I think he was always kind of a douchebag, just a little bit. But yeah, the one that gets me is when R actually does start dreaming, because he does start to do that, and you're like, oh, what's happening there? In the dream, he gets made fun of by her boyfriend, because he's like, you can't dream. What are you doing?
Yes, that's a key point here, is that zombies are not supposed to be able to sleep, which means they can't dream. And then eventually, as they're like, because the power of love,
the fact that they didn't use the 80s classic The Power of Love in this movie is really a travesty.
maybe it's just a little too on the nose.
I think they were pretty on the nose. They were playing Pretty Woman when he was getting made up.
That's true.
Okay, but that was a joke, and I loved them for it.
Yeah. What's one more joke? I love to laugh.
The second it fucking started, I was like, what? And then she's like, turn that off. I'm like, oh, even better.
My favorite, though, getting back to the Romeo and Juliet thing, is how many like little nods they had, which if you know Romeo and Juliet were not little, they were very like overt. But her friend in the dream is talking about, so Julie asks them, if we weren't in this zombie apocalypse, what would you want to do? And her friend goes, I'd want to be a nurse. And then later on the balcony scene, she's the one who's yelling at Julie from inside. And I was just like, oh, you did tell me she was going to be the nurse. Cool, thanks.
It's true. Yeah. And they clearly like make out her former boyfriend to be simultaneously a little bit Paris and Tybalt.
Yeah.
And mostly Paris because he just dies for no reason.
Well, it's so that R, aka Romeo, could kill her cousin / boyfriend.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And take his watch because he's a bit of a hoarder.
Not a bit. He is a hoarder.
Well, you know, if it's the apocalypse, you might as well. What else are you going to do with all this junk?
Well, that's the kind of big indication that he is more intellectually progressed, is he has this airplane that it looks like a private jet. It looks pretty nice.
Yeah.
That he just keeps hoarding all of his shit in. And he has like a record player and he plays albums and he has this other shit. And apparently beer that isn't skunked. I thought that was sus as hell.
I don't think it's possible. Unless they've got magic beer in this universe.
They don't specify exactly how long this actually has been happening though. Because like they went to high school in the normal world before this happened.
It wasn't entirely normal though, because in that flashback scene, there are armed guards right outside the window. So we don't know how normal it is.
That's true. But her, like, at one point she says she misses airplanes.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, it can't have been, like, super, super long.
Well, and they talk about the internet.
Yeah.
Could be a decade though. And beer would be
That would
skunked
put them
in a
at,
decade.
like, 7 years old.
Yeah, when it happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Which is possible.
it is possible.
It is possible.
I would,
But she had been saving makeup as well, which I don't think they would have been that young either.
right.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean they couldn't have found it and kept it.
True.
True. I would. My guess is this has been happening for about 5 years.
That would, yeah.
Yeah, I mean that
The level of
fully
decay
believable, too.
isn't that bad.
That's
No.
true.
Yeah.
Well, and what does the CDC say if there's a zombie apocalypse? It'll happen really quick.
If there's a zombie apocalypse, I'll never know because I will literally go, "Oh, that looks sketchy. I'm just gonna come get it done now. I'm not fighting. That's
I would be terrible in a zombie apocalypse.
Yeah, me too.
I'd just be like, well,
no.
there's not much I can do here.
No. I'd be like, I have exactly one route of survival. If that gets interrupted in any way, shape, or form, I'm just gonna be like, well, I'm not gonna run. I'm not gonna try and outrun a horde of zombies. Although I do have an app called Zombies Run. That's exactly what it is. And it's a great fucking app. So check that out.
Now
This
I
is
need to
an
know what this
unpaid
app is.
promotion, but
It
it's
forces you to run, Danny. Don't.
It does. The way it works is they like you listen to your music just like normal, and then they have like the Ableton radio tower, right? And so that's what's playing your music, and they're also telling you a story about you like being a runner to go get supplies and shit. But like you pick up stuff the more you like run and whatever. Great. But there's a mode that you can have on there that like you'll start hearing like in your ear, and the zombies are chasing after you, and if you don't speed up until they're gone, you lose your shit. They take all your shit.
Oh. I'm
It's-
going to have to check that out.
it's
I
very
know that
motivating.
there's an app called Couch to 5K where it's a workout thing, but you can put certain trainers on them, and one of them is a zombie. And so then he's like growling at you and talking weird shit, and he's like, "Okay, it's time to slow down. I dropped my head."
Yeah, this is more intense. People die. Yeah. So there's that.
But then you have to run, which I'm thoroughly against.
I'm not a fan of it. I'm a fan of the runner's high at the end. That's super cool. I'm a fan of not being winded walking upstairs.
That's fair.
And I'm also a fan of not feeling like hot garbage. And while in the moment when I'm running, I feel like hot garbage, I don't feel like hot garbage the rest of the day. So, you know, pros and cons.
I might have to try that with now that it's getting nice out.
Mm-hmm.
I have a treadmill, but
You could do it on the treadmill, but
yeah.
they do expect you to pick up speed. And I'm not a sprinter, so I'm like, fuck. Anyway, back to this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, here's the thing. I could probably outrun like a normal zombie or corpse as they call them. but it's the bonies. No,
Oh, I'd be fucked.
No,
Fuck, I'd be fucked. The bonies are I was gonna say scary or creepy, and it came out screepy.
Screepy.
That is not a word.
Bonies are screepy.
They're creepy.
That's the message of our podcast. Watch out for bonies because they're screepy.
Fuck you.
No.
Yeah, they're terrifying. I do love the moments where the corpses and the people are starting to fight together, and they're like, I don't understand, who do we shoot? And Marcus tosses one of the bonies in that direction and goes, just shoot this asshole.
Yeah.
Marcus is one of the best characters in this whole thing.
He also seems to progress a lot faster than R, because
Yes.
he ends up being able to form full sentences long before R can.
It makes me wonder if it's a development thing before you were turned into a zombie, because also the little girl, well, one of them that we see of the two kids that he passes by on the walking thing, we never see her attempt to speak. We see her playing hide and seek kind of, but she just sort of like moves her hands down and is like not fully understanding the game.
Sure.
Certain people might come out of it quicker.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I will say I found it very strange, and there's a lot about this movie that is obviously unbelievable. And it's not the fact that there's a zombie apocalypse. But the thing I found strange is to hide Julie in the zombie airport encampment. All he does is takes a little bit of his zombie goop and puts it on her face. And I'm like, that's all you need to do to pass? If these humans find out,
Right?
they
No,
could do
I know.
anything.
Yeah, I know.
Would it be stinky? Yeah, but you gotta do what you gotta do. Meanwhile, over in Walking Dead, they're just fucking losing their lives for no reason. No reason at all.
That's why I stopped watching The Walking Dead. It kind of just became like repetitive.
And this is a spoiler, so cover your ears for 30 seconds if you don't want it. After Beth dies, it was not okay, and I quit watching. I was like, you can eat shit. How dare you?
I've tried a couple of different times to watch The Walking Dead, and I really only ever make it like 3 or 4 episodes in, and I'm like, I don't care enough.
The other thing that bothered me so much is they decide while they're at the airport to do this joyride in this, what was it, a Bentley or something? I don't fucking know cars. And they're driving around on the tarmacs or doing the stuff. And I'm just like, girl, why don't you just drive that car away?
I always think that too. I'm like, just drive away. You can drive away with R in the car. Like, what's he gonna do?
Which is what happens later anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
Because he convinces her that she can't leave his little airplane hoarder's nest because the other zombies will know.
Yeah. They don't have the ability of speech, but they do have the ability to sense when a human walks away.
Right. Not when she walked in, because it's not like R brought her in on his own. He was with another group of zombies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And also, how far away was that airport from their city? Because it seemed like a ways. Like they traveled a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they had a good little walk. And she had to drive kind of a considerable distance.
Enough that the tank of gas was gone.
Granted, we do not know how much gas there was left in the car.
Sure.
But she had to like drive to the suburbs, and then they stayed there a night, and then she drove the car until it ran out of gas, and then she had to walk back to where she lived.
In the middle of the city.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what city it was, but just envision like Detroit or Chicago or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was envisioning Chicago, but I don't know for sure. They never specify.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, also we get a little glimpse when they're trying to make their getaway. Marcus, confronts him and is like, "No, we eat this.
Yeah.
What you doing, bro?" And like at one point goes, "Eat."
Yeah.
And so we get a little glimpse of like, even with them sort of starting to work at thinking, they're still thinking zombie thoughts,
Except Marcus is also advanced enough because, like, it's not that much longer. Like, it's still the same couple of hours that all of a sudden he's driving one of those little carts that you see in the airport.
Mm-hmm. It's not even a couple hours. It's a couple of minutes later.
Yeah.
Well, and not too long after that, he like gathers people up looking at a picture of people holding hands and like gets his little heart thumping and has a whole conversation of like, do you feel it? And the other guy can't talk apparently, but Marcus can.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Was Marcus really smart or something?
Well, he can talk from the beginning
Yeah.
because he was one that gathered everyone to go into the city and
Yeah.
said city.
Yeah.
City.
That was his word.
Yeah.
So I think he always could talk, but not in full sentences like he could.
He does have a tweed jacket. Maybe he's like a professor or something.
Maybe.
He was like really smart or something.
A smart boy.
That's a lot of assumption for a jacket, but you know.
Putting a lot of hopes on that jacket there, Wiggs.
Yeah.
To be fair, going back to the book I read for this week, which was Black Sheep, the whole running joke is that the professor guy wears tweed jackets. So
Wow.
tweed jacket equals professor.
That's how it
I
works.
mean, yes.
Yeah.
Or just like super old.
Yeah.
One of the two.
Sometimes both.
Sometimes both.
Yeah. Well, he also has, in my opinion, arguably some of the best lines because, like, when he gets the army of corpses together, and is like, "Yeah, we're gonna back you up." R is like, says something like "help" or something like that, and they all kind of like, ah. And Marcus goes, "They said, fuck yes." Great. Thanks, Marcus.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're the zombie translator.
Some of the one-liners in this fucking movie kill me. I love the moment where R's like, they've done his makeup. He looks like a normal-ish. He looks ish like a normal person. And they go up to a person and internally he's going, say something human, say something human. How you doing? Nailed it.
Yeah.
That like getting ready montage was pretty hilarious to me because we spent a lot of time with an overhead shot of the shower and R is just like taking a shower. And I'm like, this is a long time to be watching this man shower.
I think they were trying to get you to notice that, like, the shit was like running out of him where he had holes. But
Yeah.
Also, it was supposed to like play to the movie Psycho, you know.
If you say so. I haven't seen Psycho, so I mean I know the shower scene, but like
Yeah.
I just love that it starts the song Pretty Woman. Shut that off. Come on, it's funny.
Yeah, Nora, her best friend, who has not been a part of the kidnapping situation and did survive the zombie attack where Perry, her boyfriend, and like everybody else got killed. It seems to be super chill with R when he shows up. She's just like, oh, this is really weird, but I guess we're going with it.
In the defense of that, I mean, not that there's anything to defend, but like she had been told about him. Like they had been talking about him and stuff.
Right, but there's a big difference between talking about this one zombie guy who's maybe like smart after, you know, years, whether it's 5 or 10 or even 1 of zombies destroying the world.
Mm-hmm.
And then just being like, well, this seems chill.
Yeah, she literally just goes, is that him? You're like,
Well
Yep.
done. You've solved the mystery. You got us.
So I suppose since we're a romance podcast, we should probably talk about the romance between R and Julie, huh?
Sure.
it's so sweet.
It's very Beauty and the Beast like.
Yeah.
I don't know. Julie can clearly is less shallow than me because I don't think I could go there. Right? Like I was sure at one point it would be like kissing the mummy, you know, in the movie The Mummy when he's like, he's like, oh, a knocks on a moon, and she's like, no, man, and he gets like all his creepy bits up on her face, you know. So
hey, get your
Yeah.
face off her.
yeah, because it's gross. So I don't think it could be me.
They don't kiss though until he's basically human.
Right.
Yeah.
Still,
So there's that.
like
He's at least showered by then.
well, that's helpful.
It's helpful. Yeah, so they spend all of this time, like what, a few days, that's all we know is a few days, in his airplane bungalow situation.
Listening to records and playing with the little thing that dips down into the water.
Those birds.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's obsessed with it. He stares at it constantly until she's finally just like, and knocks it over.
But, teenage love, I guess? Are
Yeah.
they? Is she a teenager? She
I
seems very, like, maybe 20-ish.
Yeah, I think they're like,
I would think
young
at most
adults.
they're 20.
yeah.
Yeah.
They're not super old by any means.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm gonna back us up for a minute though.
Sure.
To the beginning. Then her dad, who's John Malkovich, he probably has a character name, but he's John Malkovich. And he decides, here's the best course of action. Via television, I'm going to round up most of our youth, and I'm going to send them on a run on their own with some guns, and like hopefully it comes out great. And it's like, what was the thought process there? You're not even going to send a guard to follow after them? And so I think that shapes like the definition of how old they are. They're clearly at what they would allow these kids to go out and do this stuff. So maybe
Yeah.
21.
Maybe.
To be fair, I think the video was just a stock video. Like, I think it gets played for everybody that's about to go out and do this kind of mission.
Perhaps.
I got the vibe that, yeah, they were like trained a little bit before they went out.
Mm-hmm.
But they were only given guns. There are other people around you see with like tactical vests
Mhm.
and all sorts of other things.
Mm-hmm.
And these children were just like, here's your one gun. Good luck.
Have fun. Don't get caught. Like, and I guess maybe they had like previously scouted it or whatever and thought it was safe, but that's not really shown in the movie,
No.
which
No.
means that that's all headcanon that you have to assume. Otherwise, you can just safely assume they're dumb.
Well, and this John Malkovich is the general. He's the man in charge, or at the very least, he's in charge of like the military operation.
Mm-hmm.
And he's totally chill, just sending like his daughter and all of her friends.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like, good luck.
Again, what was the thought process there?
I don't know.
It's
Yeah.
never explained to us. We're just like, apparently John Malkovich's opinion on zombies matters enough for him to be able to like act like he's the president of the world, but his own daughter's life doesn't matter enough for them to go, wait a minute, let's send an armed guard with them. Like it doesn't make sense. So I don't know. I don't have anything else to say about that.
I do think, though, that they're maybe 2021.
Yeah.
Okay, so I do want to talk a little bit because, we sent the kids out on their own and everything. Kind of their reactions as far as how they do things. A good example for that is Nora, Julie's best friend. So when they smuggle R in and they do the makeover because they want to talk to her dad about they believe the corpses are changing and everything, so they have to get him to her father, which is the hard part, so they have to make him look normal. While they were preparing to do this, you just get one moment where you see you see Nora pick up a gun, and you're like, okay, I guess you're always armed. Nope, she brought that gun because she fully knew how Julie's dad was going to react, and when he pulled a gun on R, she put a gun to his head and was like, nope, sir, not going to happen. Even at one point when they're walking away, he's like, you're not going to shoot me, and she's like, yes, I will.
Yeah.
And it's very telling of how these younger the younger generation of the people that have still been alive have kind of evolved.
I'm a little concerned for her safety though, because we never see her again until she's a nurse. Like what they had to have like snatched her up and like put her in a prison or something, because like otherwise she's gone.
Yeah. She's not dead because we see her in the like ending montage or whatever.
Yeah.
But hey, my daughter brought a zombie into the middle of our fucking encampment to, okay, these zombies are chill is seriously like not even an hour.
Yeah,
worth
I
of
know.
time.
Yeah.
So
She's fine.
but talking about their reactions to things, Julie also is just very combat like proficient,
Mhm.
because when she and Perry in the flashback that R gets to see go out, sneak out, they're just having fun out in the middle of the zombie infested world,
I mean, can't say it's my idea of a good time or a great
No.
date, but whatever.
and they find his dad who is a zombie. She's just like, she just pops him like, and don't, I mean, that's what you have to do because zombie running at you, but
Mhm.
she's just like, don't worry, pop.
Well, we get a little bit of a moment where before R comes forward and she's trying to talk to him, he's like, we've got all these skeletons coming at us. Like, you need to go get the gun. And she's like, you mean this gun? Like, clearly he's been training her for a long time
Mhm.
Yeah.
to know what the appropriate survival move is.
Which is why I think that maybe this apocalypse is not as new. I think that they grew up having to learn how to do all this shit. Like, that's how you get that hardened. And she's popping zombies off left and right when she and R are running away from them, and is proficient. She like shot a Boney in the head while she was running away.
Well, but there's also a line in there from Nora where she's talking about how you've forgotten that, your dad is not reasonable. It's your mom who is the reasonable one. And she cites that she was grounded for an entire year because she stole peach schnapps. That's not really the behavior of like a kid or a middle schooler.
Yeah, but you could still steal peach schnapps in the middle of a zombie apocalypse.
If it exists.
I'm assuming that's why I don't think it's like 30 years old. I would assume those are things that they already had.
I could make the argument for maybe 5 years, so she would have been like 15-ish.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think she was a young kid when this happened.
I don't know. I'm kind of in the boat. They were like 10.
I
when it
think
happened.
well, I think that regardless of there being a zombie apocalypse, her dad was training her. That's how I read the situation. That like he's been military his entire life. He works in the US government, so knows how crazy shit is, and he was like, no, not my daughter. She's gonna know how to use a weapon. She's gonna know. He like gives that vibe.
You could also make that argument. It probably is. I mean, I've definitely been taught how to do things that I maybe shouldn't have been taught until I was much older.
Oh, I guess I'm getting it more from just her demeanor. Not like she can shoot a gun, but she can shoot a gun on the run. And also she doesn't seem to really pause too much when she's shooting somebody she knows.
Well, there's also the trauma backstory that we get of her dad had to put her mother down. So
I think, and at a certain point, when you've lost so much of the world around you, because they've lost a lot of people they know from this, so maybe at a certain point it becomes less so, because she does talk too about, the fact that she's now lost Perry. She's like, I on one hand miss him, but at a certain point you can't feel to a certain degree anymore either.
Well, she said something along the lines of she's been preparing herself for it for a long time.
Yeah, because he went down a real hard road once he lost his dad.
The other thing though too is they have this giant ass wall.
Mm-hmm.
I can't really gauge how tall the wall is, but like it's, several stories. And the one thing I want to note about that is the big thing at the end is they are like, oh, the zombies have turned around. We've learned how to kind of cure them. So let's break down the wall. And I'm like, I wouldn't have done that. It's too soon for that.
Mm.
Yeah, I wouldn't have either. I would have been like, we can let them in.
There's still bonies out there, man.
Apparently they killed all the bonies.
I love calling them bonies. And the ones they didn't kill, they died off. They just kind of died off because they didn't have things to feed on anymore.
Well, at one point her dad says that their little colony, if you want to call it that, is maybe one of the last surviving human strongholds.
Mm-hmm.
And So I wonder genuinely if that's true. Like, were they the last holdouts? Is this a situation where we're practically back to Adam and Eve, or like, is that full bullshit? And if you manage to get in contact with somebody like a few cities over, they have their own version of this same thing.
Well, and also like from his perspective, if communication has gone down, which is a very common thing in zombie apocalypse worlds, how would you know? Like, how would you know that there's not a human stronghold in London, or you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I also, okay, this is a little bit of a segue, but it feels like it's worth talking about. I always think it's really funny and interesting that these zombie movies take place in cities, and it's like, that's not the logical place to be, or for there to be a stronghold. The logical place for that to be is out in the middle of bumfuck nowhere.
Yep.
And and there's people who boarded up their houses and have a root cellar that's full of canned food. That's where you're gonna find survivors.
well, it's like if you've watched or played The Last of Us, so I guess spoiler for that, maybe cover your ears for the next 30 seconds. Have you watched or read the Last of Us?
No, but I keep forgetting it, so you can't spoil it for me.
There's a town in Montana that lives exactly like a small town. Like, it's not like it's, oh, we're all boarded up in a commune. I do think they have like a walls or at least patrol, but otherwise it just looks like a regular ass small town. And that's because they're in like fucking Montana or Wyoming.
Right.
So where I'd head, I'd be like,
Yeah.
guess we're going to Montana.
The only shit thing is like winter, but also if you need like certain supplies, you would have to go to a city at some point.
Yeah.
But winter also works to your advantage because it's, if nothing else, snow is harder to move in.
Yeah.
And like there's going to be a delay on like once you kill off whatever zombies are in your community, if they're even there, right? If it's a bite to bite situation, it might be a while before it ever gets to you.
It's true.
Unless some fucking asshole's getting in their car like a fucking asshole, admit you've been bit.
Well, if COVID taught us anything, they will.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I know. I on the other hand, if there was a zombie apocalypse happening and I got bit, I'm not waiting around a turn. I will be done. I will take care of that myself. Thank you.
Yeah.
The only way I would not tell somebody that I was bitten would be like that moment in The Walking Dead where he's like, tainted meat! If you know, you know.
I do not know. But...
No.
I'll tell you about it later.
Okay.
Okay. So back to R and Julie. I kind of agree with you, Wiggs. Like, how does she... I don't really get the connection there. Like, I get that she is holed up with him for several days. And over that time, her walls kind of drop. And then she's like, oh, shit, maybe these creatures are more intelligent or have the ability to be more intelligent than we thought. So I totally understand, like, trying to maybe bring him back or whatever. But I would have done what she did when they drive away from the airport, get to the suburb, and then she just bounces as soon as she can.
Right.
Yeah, I probably would have too.
Like, even if you are building these romantic feelings over a couple of days, I'll repeat, even if that was the case, there's got to be at least a part of you that's like, I think I might be insane. Yeah. I think there's something wrong with me. I should probably seek medical attention because I'm attracted to rotten flesh. That's not right. Okay, bye.
He does start to unrot, though, slowly over the movie.
He does cuten up.
Somehow. I don't know.
Magic.
So I have it's a critique of mine from the, he's been hottening up and everything. He's been unrotting. But at the very end, so the entire movie, he has like several like small scars on his face and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They no longer exist at the very end of the movie. His face is not scarred at all. And I'm like, I don't care what changed. That would not.
No, because if he got cuts and stuff as a zombie, they wouldn't heal.
Yeah.
So those scars would have had to have come from when he had the ability to heal as a human.
Yeah.
Unless magic.
Magic.
I mean, we are trying to bring logic to warm bodies.
Yeah. So it was kind of a bummer, though, that she did leave him, because that was his first time having a dream, is when he slept on the floor next to her.
To be fair, he had just confessed that he ate her boyfriend. So
She didn't seem to really care about that, though.
Yeah, no, she's like, on one hand, I already knew that.
but like I think it made it harder to deny what he was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like before you could kind of go, oh, he's just a kind of like a rabid human.
He's just a little pale.
Yeah, he's just a little gross, but it's all boys are, right? But then like oh, you actually ate my boyfriend. Yeah. Thank you for the perspective shift that I needed.
Mm-hmm. But then she leaves, and he's like, nay, nay, lady.
I will always come for you.
Well, I mean, like, there's a little bit in between there.
He starts to shuffle home,
Mm-hmm.
and then he runs into Marcus,
Who's got a gang?
who's got
Yeah.
a gang.
Yeah.
And I love it because Marcus looks at him and goes, bitches.
Right? Like that's the thing. It's like you gotta give that actor credit. He had very little lines to make an impact with, and he was like a one-word line: "Bitches, watch me."
Yeah.
Bitches.
And apparently the Bonies are after them, which there's a whole other thing happening specifically with the Bonies that we never get addressed, because they seem smarter than the regular zombies.
Certainly faster and stronger.
Yeah.
We'll never know.
I don't know if
Right.
it's necessarily smarter or if it's more aggressive.
Maybe more aggressive, but Marcus is specifically saying that they are coming after R and Julie, which
Mhm.
means they have to have a level of an intelligence to
Yeah.
do that.
And some kind of like group think almost going on.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
hive mind shit where they're able to, without using any language, communicate, we are going after these two. Suspicious.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder if really they're not turning into zombies. They're just going through an evolutionary process and we just killed off the new version of human beings.
I don't like that version anyway. It's
Well,
creepy.
You know.
Or as I said earlier, screepy.
I'm pretty sure Homo sapiens killed off quite a few other human-like things.
It's true.
It's true.
What kind of assholes?
Yeah.
So, like Neanderthals. Neanderthals, if I remember correctly, are not actually our ancestor.
For some people, they are.
Depends.
Okay. This is gonna be a nerd moment. Okay. Apparently, they have found that like for the longest they thought like there were Homo sapiens and there were Neanderthals and they were coexisting and
Oh, that's right. They
independent.
did find.
And then they found that they were actually fully getting down with each other. So there are
They-
some people who are both
They did find
in the
that.
bloodstream. However, at various points, we have had an extreme drop in men, like the male species, and so they've had to repopulate from a small number of men because they go and do these crazy war things where they're like, we're warriors, we kill everybody, right? And so they just like kill off massive amounts of DNA that are just gone. So there's your nerd information. So here's my thing with this movie is that it's good, but I don't get like all the praise and acclaim it gets because it's kind of, yeah, sure, it's good, but that's like all I can really say for it. Somehow it feels a little bit bland.
Yeah, I can see that.
You know what I mean? Like it just like, yeah, it's there, but is it one where I'm like, ooh, I gotta watch this movie? I don't know. I never got there. It felt like they had too much story to tell in too little time, I think.
Yeah.
And so you don't really get much depth from any of the characters. You get like cursory overview of all of them, and you're like, this feels like an episode of a television show rather than the whole story.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I would probably watch the shit out of it if they made this into like a serial.
Yeah.
Yeah, because then they would hopefully answer questions like, what the fuck is with the bonies?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And also, how did what is the history of the city? How long have we been in zombie apocalypse time? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All good points. And I also think that if you spread that out, you spread out the development of them coming out of the zombie stasis, if you will, that would be way more interesting. Like I would want to see what it takes for them to develop into a full-fledged human being. Is it ever possible for them to come completely back from it? Right? There's a lot that you could explore there, and it just felt like we didn't have enough time to do that. So it was like, hurry up, we got to get to the ending now. Shoot him. Oh, he's bleeding. Everything's fine. The zombies are cool now. Just kill the bonies.
Yeah. It does seem like when people are coming out of it, certain people aren't coming out as quickly as it.
Mm-hmm.
That little girl that you see playing hide and seek, like, she's still kind of messed up looking and everything.
She is.
And then there's the like baseball or like the catch scene
Yeah.
between two random people, and the guy just doesn't get it.
He does catch it, but it kind of seems like it's just because the guy who threw the baseball just threw it directly to his mitt.
Right.
Yeah. And then with Marcus, he's having trouble opening an umbrella because his fingers are still not working very well.
Right.
Yeah, he says he has corpse fingers.
Yeah.
Well, and we still don't know really, like, okay, sure, the power of love is what makes them not zombies anymore, but like we don't really know how that is able to impact them physically.
Mhm.
Right.
How this like mental state is able to impact ultimately whether or not they have their flesh is rotting. How do you unrot flesh? I would like an explanation.
That is the question.
It is the question.
You know what I mean?
I don't know. I really think it would be hilarious to have like zombie school. All right, zombies, shuffle in. We're going to teach you how to be human again. I think that should be fucking hilarious.
No biting, Jason. We've talked about this.
I think it'd be fucking hilarious.
Yeah. Well, and like, what do you do with these zombie kids now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you do, right? Or like another question I have is, are they now like immortal?
Right. Do they become fully human? Do they become a new evolved species? Like,
Right?
what are they?
What are they?
Can they have kids, or can only the humans procreate?
Right? Has their business been on ice for too long? And
Right.
the eggs have spoiled? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, questions.
Something about did the egg spoil made me go, ugh.
Well, it's a valid question is all I'm
I mean,
saying.
it is a valid question. I am also very confused about it.
Right? And the thing is, obviously, we're getting a little over analytical of a movie that like was not meant to be analyzed to this degree. But I still have questions.
I'm that person though. Like, I have a hard time reading a book, especially books, because you have all the time in the world, right? You don't have to keep it to an hour and a half or something. Like, you could add scenes, you could add descriptions. And if they just kind of like, if there's a lot of parts of the world building or the reasoning that's just, that's the way it is, I go, no, it's not the way it is though. Tell me why.
Right? Why is it when they finally are like, oh, I remember what love or feels like, that their heart glows and goes ba-boom. Why?
It's meant to show that their heart has started beating again.
Right.
It doesn't actually glow. We just, as the audience, are privy to that.
Suspicious.
What I don't get is why the love is contagious, right? Because that's what it kind of feels like.
Yeah.
R gets his thumpity thump heart back because he's with Julie,
Mhm.
and then Marcus gets it because, I mean, yeah, he sees the picture and then is like, oh, they're holding hands. I wonder what that's about. But it kind of just seems like it's like contagious amongst the zombie corpses, that as soon as one of them gets it, they all kind of get it.
Well, it kind of reminds me of the storytelling that you see in myths, where it's
Yeah.
like, why does Zeus change into an animal and then have sex with this lady? because that's why. And you're like, okay. It's confusing, and I don't understand how this is helping anybody.
Look,
Well,
Loki got pregnant as a horse and gave birth.
Right? Like, why though? And how? But also why? Mostly why?
and gave birth to a 6-legged horse.
Right, and then like what? And then doesn't like Odin ride said horse?
Yeah.
So then it's like, so your son horse is now
In actual mythology, Loki is not Odin's son.
still this other guy is riding your son around.
Yeah. Well,
That's weird, right? And so it feels like kind of you have to go into it with like, well, okay, I guess that it is the way it is.
It is the way it is.
I don't want it to be the way it is, though. I want you to tell
Power
me.
of love. I don't know what to tell you, Liz. The power of love is the thing that holds us together. It lifts us up where we belong.
All you need is love.
God damn it, you guys. Fucking stop it.
Thanks for backing me up on that.
I appreciate you for doing that as well.
Why does his blood turn red again, though? Because he oozes this, like...
It's oxygenated.
Is it? Because
But
it
how
looks
and
like
why?
motor oil. And then, like, instantly it goes, but what if it's red? And, oh, you feel pain again. Isn't that nice?
Well, I think it's not instantly oxygenated again. I think it's been becoming that way and they just didn't notice.
But you
So-
gotta make new blood.
Is the power of love oxygen?
Maybe.
Oxygen. Interesting. Nope. Still doesn't make sense.
Doesn't. It doesn't.
I do love the sick, like, I'm going to keep you safe. And then he, like, holds her as he jumps off the building. I was like, oh,
That was
I like
nice.
that.
I my brain was just like, that's not gonna work, dude.
I really, in my head, before when I watched this the first time, I thought they were going to miss and bounce. And,
Well, that's a visual I'll never be able to get out of my head.
To be fair, when you hit water from that height, from several stories
Oh,
up,
it's going to hurt like a
breaks your
bitch.
bones.
yeah.
Yeah, that's not gonna. If he can now all of a sudden start dying from a gunshot wound, he for sure doesn't have bones that make sense anymore.
No, because it's instantly after they jump off of the roof into this like fountain, and she's okay, which I'm like, that's also not how that works. His bones should have still been shattered.
Right, and like
They were playing by Minecraft rules. If you land in water, it's fine.
it works.
That is
I know.
not how that
That's not
works.
how-
But it is how it works. It works how it works in Minecraft.
Well, and shouldn't he be in worse shape because he clearly didn't? Okay, so this retracts the oxygen theory. He didn't have oxygen in his lungs, so he couldn't breathe out underwater. So he's not oxygenating his blood. It doesn't make sense.
He wasn't down there long enough for it to be an issue. She gets him out fairly quickly.
Right, but that doesn't change the fact that he's not oxygenating his blood, so why is it red?
I don't have all the answers.
Well, you're supposed to, Danny.
Fuck you. I actually am going to read the book. I just bought the audiobook. It was $9.
Nice.
That's cool. Now,
Maybe
then you'll have all the answers and you can tell us.
Yeah.
Hopefully. It's a series, apparently.
Oh, see?
Oh,
See, what have we been saying?
Not all books work well as movies. And I'm not saying that to say that I don't like this movie. I just mean sometimes it should just be a book.
This works good as like a fluff movie.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
a
I
good fluff
suppose.
movie. I
Yeah.
like this movie.
Like
It cracks me up.
if you think about it too hard, like, we're doing,
Yeah.
it is a problem. But you're not supposed to.
It's supposed to be funny. Bitches.
The time has come for us to rate this movie. Ladies, spice?
There is no spice.
There's one kiss and it is rather chaste, honestly. So no spice.
I mean, but would you get all Mac in that business even if he is more human now? No. He hasn't brushed his teeth in years. Years. You saw there black shit all up in there. No. No. 0.
Romance?
It's cute.
It's cute. There isn't a whole lot of romance, though. It's more just them kind of getting to know each other.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, the stuff they do in the airplane is fun.
Yeah.
And he does make the sacrifice play at the end.
Yeah.
But, like, they also only have known each other for like a week.
Yeah.
Less even. So.
I don't know, like a 1.5 because of sacrifice play.
Sure. Liz?
I was going to say a 2. I think I'm going to stick with it.
Yeah, I'll go with a 2.
I do like that they're not like getting married at the end. It's just them kind of dating.
That would be so fucking weird.
Oh my God. I would be like, what the fuck?
I'd be like, ma'am, you don't have to do that. You're in a post-apocalyptic world. Marriages don't even mean anything anymore. Don't do that.
Does R just live at their house afterwards? Their huge ass fucking mansion of a house?
Oh God.
We
that
don't know.
house is
There are no
gorgeous.
answers.
There is no answers. It's
We
them
don't know
sitting
how
there
Nora
watching-
becomes a nurse. We just know that she's got scrubs. For all we know, she's a nurse in training. How old is she in this? How much time has passed? How is she a nurse? We don't know. We don't know. We don't know anything. That's the whole thing. Rant over.
Okay.
Overall.
Your overall rating?
I give this movie a 3.5. I like this movie. It makes me laugh. It's a good fluff movie.
I'm going to give it a 3. Like, I enjoyed it. I'll probably never watch it again, but I also don't rewatch movies, so
That's
that
true.
doesn't mean a
I
whole
was
lot.
going to say that's not a big
No.
Liz thing.
I'll also agree it's like a 3.5. Like, I enjoy it. It's fun to put on in the background. But I probably won't watch it again for a while. But it's fine. It's fun. It's I would say this movie is like it's like watching Mean Girls if you've watched it too many times. Like the jokes are only gonna land so many times before you're like, she said the thing. It kind of feels like that after you've watched it a couple of times. Like it reaches its laugh expiration date a little bit faster.
Sure.
So that's why I say it's like a 3.5 rather than like a 4 or a 4.5 because it just doesn't have the longevity. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many times have you seen it?
I don't know. I watched it a lot more when it like first came out. I had to
Oh.
rewatch it for this because I hadn't watched it in a long time.
Same.
This is my first time watching it.
Oh.
Big shocker, I'm sure. Yeah.
I don't remember what movie I specifically went to that I saw the preview for this and was like, I need to watch that because it looked funny in the preview.
Yeah. And it is. It just, like I said, it has a shorter laugh expiration date.
Yeah.
Sure. What are your recommendations?
I'm only going to say one because
Okay.
you guys, I assume, are going to say, one of you is going to say the other. So Shaun of the Dead.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hilarious. At the end, there's a pet zombie. Like, what more do you want?
Is that the one with, is that the British movie?
Yeah. Simon Pegg.
I was going to say Abraham Lincoln Vampire Killer just because it has a little bit of the same feelish weirdness to me.
I haven't seen that either.
I saw part of it once. That's it. Great addition, I know.
Awesome stuff.
Yeah.
I'll do the obvious recommendation and recommend Zombieland.
Yeah.
All right, folks, that's the end of the episode. So if you liked this, please find us out there on the socials at Wrong Dust Jackets or find us on our website at wrongdustjackets.com. You can check out our blog post for reviews of all sorts of other books, as well as check out what our upcoming episodes are. And then if you would give us 5 stars on whatever app you're listening to, if you can give us a review, if that's an option for you, we'd love it. Otherwise, bye, y'all.
Bye-bye.
Bye.